the greatest art heist in history.
It's a hot summer's evening in Paris. For weeks, a record-breaking heat wave has been cooking the city, leaving the streets empty and the Louvre quieter than ever. No one dares to go outside, but for one man, it's time to strike. Throughout the night, he pulls off the heist of the century, plucking the Mona Lisa from the Louvre and disappearing.
Wait, he steals... Wait, there's no guards? So wait, someone stole the Mona Lisa?
Plucking the Mona Lisa from the Louvre and disappearing into the city. This set off a worldwide investigation, leading French police down a 2-year rabbit hole of false leads and...
Wait, the Mona Lisa got stolen? I never knew that. Wait, surely it wasn't that easy though, just walking in and walking out with the Mona Lisa.
Famous arrests before a mysterious letter eventually gave the thief away. We modeled the entire thing to show you how a single man stole the Mona Lisa, how he almost got away with it, and the elaborate plan behind the heist.
Oh, wait, the Mona Lisa was not that popular until it was stolen. Oh, really? And then when it got stolen, it was blown up in the news and that, and then it got more popularity. Oh, I actually didn't know that. I did not know that at all.
That was eventually revealed decades later. As the sun went down that Sunday evening, the last few tourists were trickling out of the Louvre. But just before it closed, a man entered the museum dressed in the Louvre's official white uniform.
Was it still worth a lot of money though? Because why would they go to steal that one then? Like if the Mona Lisa wasn't crazy popular, was it still worth a lot though? Like surely, right? It was still worth a lot.
Blending in as an employee, he quickly found his way to a small storage closet, squeezed his way in, and waited out the entire night.
Yeah. It's only a short one. It's like 7 minutes.
The Louvre was closed the next day, so very few employees were going to be patrolling the museum.
Okay.
At precisely 7:15 the next morning, the thief emerged into an almost empty Louvre.
Yeah, this
With
is a
no
cool
one
video.
in sight, he quickly made his way into the Salon Carré, and there it was. At the time, the Mona Lisa didn't have its own room, and it wasn't nearly as famous as it is today. But the thief was about to change that. With no one in sight, he pulled the painting off its metal pins and carried it to a nearby stairwell.
Wait, hold up. Maybe this. Now, I'm not a conspiracy guy. Or maybe I am, maybe just a little bit. Maybe this was planned by the French to make it the most valuable on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we got this very cool art piece. It's worth a lot. It's not like worldwide famous. Let's do a heist, blow it up, marketing, and now boom, you got the Mona Lisa. Huh? Smart.
Using a screwdriver, he managed to remove the painting from its protective frame before covering it in a white sheet and heading straight for the nearest exit.
That is crazy how he's done all this undetected and it's the goddamn Mona Lisa, bro. I know it's not like, it wasn't as famous back then, but...
But as he reached for the door, it was locked. At that exact moment, a plumber working for the Louvre appeared out of nowhere. He assumed that the man was a Louvre employee, and so he helped him open the door.
No way!
And just like that, the thief disappeared into the city with the Mona Lisa under his arms.
No way!
The whole heist was over in just a matter of minutes. But it would take another 28 hours before anyone realized the painting was really gone. Another 28 hours.
20 hours. 20 hours. It took 28 hours to realize it was gone. Bro, how unpopular was it back then?
Before anyone realized the painting was really gone.
What?
That week, photographers had been going through the museum and taking the paintings to be officially photographed. So blank spaces on the wall were completely normal.
Oh.
But when the photographers showed up the next morning without the Mona Lisa, it became clear that something was extremely wrong. The Mona Lisa was officially missing. The police were called and a team of detectives descended on the museum. France closed its borders and stationed tanks around the Louvre. Just kidding. These tanks weren't used.
Okay.
But they can be used in War Thunder. War
Goddamn sponsor, bro.
When the Louvre announced that one of its prized possessions had disappeared, it sent shockwaves all around the world. And the question was, where did it go?
Masterpiece
All
taken.
the police had found was the wooden picture frame and a fingerprint left behind by the thief. To get the investigation going, local newspapers started offering a reward of $250,000 for any information that would lead them to the painting. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of people sent letters and showed up to police stations with all kinds of information.
Mate, 250k, I'll be sending random letters. I'll get AI generated letters just in case one of them's correct. I'll send tens of thousands.
Placing the Mona Lisa all over the world. 2 separate witnesses recalled seeing a man leaving the Louvre with a bulky object. But the descriptions of the man were completely different.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. So like the Mona Lisa back then wasn't famous, but it was still an expensive masterpiece, right?
One person claimed that the Mona Lisa was on a freight train heading through Belgium, and another claimed that the painting was on a ship which had already set sail for America. But perhaps the most promising suspect was the famous artist, Pablo Picasso. A secretary who knew Picasso wrote to the police and admitted that he had stolen several Iberian statues from the Louvre. He claimed to have sold these statues to Picasso, who went on to use them in one of his paintings.
What?
It seemed unlikely, but after checking the serial number on the statues, the Louvre confirmed that they really were from the museum.
Yeah.
Picasso was arrested and taken in for questioning.
What?
Meanwhile, the police turned their attention to another famous suspect, American banker and art collector J.P. Morgan. At the time, art forgery was a big business, and paintings were often being forged and sold to naive millionaires in America.
Right.
According to the claim, Morgan had commissioned the heist, and the painting was now on its way to him.
No
Police in
way.
America stopped and searched a boat pulling into New York, but there was no Mona Lisa on board. Theories kept coming in from all over the world, but after 2 years of searching, the location of the Mona Lisa was still a complete mystery. As it turned out, the Mona Lisa hadn't gone far at all, and it was sitting in an apartment just 2 miles from the Louvre.
You know what? I was going to say that. I was going to say everyone's saying it's here, there, and everywhere. I was going to say the guy's laughing. It's just in his house. In his house, you know, maybe an hour away or something, I don't know.
This was
Just
the
chilling.
apartment of Vincenzo Perugia, a 29-year-old Italian who used to work at the Louvre as a handyman. He knew every weakness of the Louvre.
Right.
He knew that it was closed on Mondays. He knew about the photographers. And it was him who had made the Mona Lisa's protective case, which he dismantled so easily during the heist.
Oh, okay.
After leaving the Louvre, he hid the painting in a trunk with a false floor, which he had made himself. But how did he get away with it for so long? Amazingly, Perugia already had a criminal record, and his fingerprints were already in the system. But only his right-hand fingerprints were in the system, and the one on the picture frame was a left-hand print, and so a match was never found. During the investigation, police had visited Perugia's apartment twice, but never found anything. Little did they know that the Mona Lisa was hiding right under their noses. Perugia had pulled off a stupidly simple heist, and it seemed like he would get away with it. But after 2 years holding the painting hostage, he started to get impatient. He wrote an anonymous letter to an art dealer in Florence, the city where Da Vinci
That's actually mad that he had it for 2 whole years, bro.
painted the masterpiece. In the letter, he claimed to have the Mona Lisa in his possession and said he wanted to return it back to its home. He signed the letter with the name Leonardo and took the next train to Florence. The art dealer and his associate agreed to meet Perugia in his hotel room to authenticate the painting. With the doors locked, Perugia opened up the trunk, and to their surprise, it really was the Mona Lisa. In order to further authenticate the painting, the art dealers took it back to their studio, assuring Perugia that he would be rewarded for bringing it back to Italy. But just an hour later, the police showed up at his door and arrested him. Perugia ended up spending just 7 months in prison and died just 10 years later.
Mad. He just handed himself in pretty much. He's handing himself in.
Although the search for the Mona Lisa was over, the truth behind what really happened seemed to have gone to the grave. But in 1932...
Yeah, I can't lie. I didn't know that at all. Never heard about that.
A story was published that revealed a much more elaborate plan behind the heist. Written by Carl Decker, he claimed to know the man who was really behind the heist, a man named Eduardo de Valfierno, an expert in art forgery. He had come up with a grand plan to sell not one, but 6 perfect copies of the Mona Lisa to 6 unsuspecting millionaires lined up in America.
What?
He commissioned a talented French painter to make the copies and shipped them off to America and put them into storage. In order for them to believe they were really getting their hands on the Mona Lisa, the real one had to go missing.
Right.
And so he contracted Perugia to pull off the heist. When news spread that the Mona Lisa had gone missing, the paintings were sold to their buyers, and the 3 involved ran off with the equivalent of $90 million. And now, ran off with the equivalent of $90 million.
90 for selling fake copies of the Mona Lisa, and they believed it was real because it got robbed. Crazy.
And now, time for the Primal Space giveaway. The
Crazy. Yo, kind of crazy story though, I ain't gonna lie. I never knew that about the Mona Lisa. Nuts. Nuts.